So this is Baruch Fleischman here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and today is the second day of the week of parshas Vaeirah. This is the day of Gevurah, and I would say that in the day that I had business-wise, I spent the morning and the afternoon trying to reach government officials in regards to trying to pay for my license. It's a very simple, my business license, and they've got a completely new system. It took all day. It was just like a really heavy thing, a real test of my nerves. This is the day of Gevurah. So that's it is for me. And let's go over here, though, and let's see what the Zohar says. We're in the Zohar at the very beginning of parshas Vaeirah. There's a little blurb in the beginning, but I want to go right into it so we can try to get as much done here as possible. The Zohar says, V'yadaber Hashem Elokim El Moshe. Hashem spoke to Moshe, so this is Lashon Elokim. V'yomer alav ani Hashem. And the Elokim said to Moshe, I am a Yud Kei Vav Kei. Vaeirah el Avraham el Yitzchak el Yaakov b'Keil Shakai. And I appeared before your fathers as the name Keil Shakai. So he says, and so Rebbe Abba began and wanted to speak and quote this. Bitchu b'Hashem ade ad. Trust in Hashem forever. Now this is a double language, ade and then ad. Ki biyak, because we said that Yud Kei and Yud Kei Vav Kei, tzur lamim. They represent the rock of the universes. Pirush and Pirush HaPasha. So the simple explanation what the Zohar wants to do here is it wants to look at this pasuk and wants to start telling us the secret in the pasuk. So Pirush HaPasha, Bitchu b'Hashem. This is a simple explanation. La'olam, he said, forever, kol yemei chayechem, forever, all through the days of your life. Ki bo yizbarach, because with Hashem yizbarach, talui chozek beis alamim, is really depending on the strength of the two alames, ha'olam hazeh v'olam haba, this world and the world beyond. Now this world refers to the olam of Asiyah, the world beyond refers to the olam of Bria. So between these two, we have to understand that's the category. And then everything that exists really depends on the Kodesh Baruch Hu. So since that's the case, and that everything depends on Him, upper world, lower world, our lives, and everything in it, it's up to us to really depend on the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Now, what does this mean? So then let's go over and let's talk about it again. So we're over here, and it says, "Kol b'nei ha'olim srichem lehischazeh b'Kodesh Baruch Hu." It's necessary to tie yourself to Hashem, to serve Him, and do His mitzvahs. So you have to realize that everything that you need, Hashem provides it for you. These are the things you actually do need. Other things that you want, maybe He doesn't provide. But that's the question is that Hashem, trust in Him. He'll give you what you need. Because if you do Torah and mitzvahs, you get strong at it. You'll be able to lisim bitchono bo. You could place your trust in Hashem. You'll be able to understand. But they have a question. So the question is, if that's the case, because that's what it sounds. It says you have to trust in Hashem. That's what the parshas of the pasuk says. He says but if that's the case, and that's what the pasuk wants to say, mahu ade ad. What did you need forever and ever for that? What did you need that? B'shipirusha la'olam. So he says forever. So he says, so then you would say like this. It's important for you to trust in Hashem, b'kol yom u'b'kol shah, every day, every moment, sheyazbin lo kol tzarcho, because Hashem is constantly giving you everything you need. Now he says that, so that was a kasha actually. He says that if it's that Hashem gives you everything you need, then what's this idea of forever and ever? I mean, we're not going to live forever, so what exactly is this about? And now the Zohar wants to turn to so. Ella kavonas akasav, what we want to say, this idea of ad, begin to hate tukvach the bar nash, so that the strength of a man. Let's see what the Zohar says. We want to understand that what a person holds on to, and what strengthens that person has to be the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Because he wants to say, "B'makom shehu kiyum b'kasher shehu kol partzufim." So we're talking about where is it that you need to have your trust, your faith. If you're looking at the spiritual world, then you have to see what part of the spiritual world is the place to put the emphasis. Shekol ha-partzufim ha'elyonim, all of the upper partzufim behind the Zer Anpin, what we're talking about, the meeting place, is the concept of Zer Anpin, Shabo Mislavshim, Eric Anpin, V'Abba V'Ima. Both Abba V'Ima are inside of Zer Anpin, and it goes like this. Eric Anpin is inside of Abba V'Ima, and Abba V'Ima is inside of Zer Anpin. But the key part here, as he's going to say, get into more detail, is that Zer Anpin is the focal point. V'ikre ad, and another word for Zer Anpin is the word ad, until, or forever. V'nikra ad, meloshen la'ad, forever. The fishu yizbarach kaim la'olam, because what we're talking about, who is the ad? The ad is the Kodesh Baruch Hu. You have this name, Akaditam. Now, this is an idea that maybe other people haven't seen, and I need to think about trying to present this. Let's look at this name, Akaditam. Okay? This is a name of God, a certain name of God, but you probably have not seen it before. So what it is basically the Elokim, the name Elokim, with the numbers moved one to the right. The letters move one to the right. Not numbers, but letters move one to the right. So that, except for the two outside letters. So Elokim begins with Aleph, and it ends with the letter Mem. But in between, you have these letters. You have Lamed. I'm spelling Elokim now. You have Hey, and you have Yud. Lamed, K, Yud. That makes the name Elokim. But if you move it one to the right, which is a chesed, because moving to the right is always a chesed, you come to this name, Akaditam, and you see it in the Rishash and other places. So this is something just to know about. It has a gematria of 74. The name Akaditam has that gematria also, Hu Shem HaBitochon. And he says this name, and this is something for me to think about, is the name of trust, of faith. Now we've explained this before. We've already explained this. He says, Shazer Anpin, Nikra Ad. That's his name. He's called Ad, until that place. Kamadat Amar Beboka Ya'ochel Ad. So this, we said in regards to this, in regards to Benjamin, the blessing that he got is that he will eat Ad. What does this mean? So now the Mato comes and gives us a pirush. Pirush Mekarbon Atomit, so that the concept of Ad is that in the base of Migdash, where the Karbanos was offered, were in the Holy of Holies particularly, was in the section called of Binyamin. So Binyamin goes with the pasuk that we meant before, that in the morning he will eat until Ad. So now we get to this translation. So the translation is Pirush. He says, a mekarbon atomed, because the carbon atomed was offered every morning, shal boker. Ya'ala hareich, so the smell from the sense of this sacrifice. It's a reich nikoach, a beautiful smoke of smell and smoke. It goes to Hashem, who is Zer Anpin, Anikra Ad, which is called Ad. So now we understand, Baboker Ya'ochel Ad. Who is Ad? Zer Anpin, we will offer from our malchus, which is our Mizbeach, our altar, and from here we will offer it up to Zer Anpin. Now let's go a little bit further. And the Zohar says like this. V'amar Od, it says further, Ki hai Ad, this Ad, Asad the Ochid l'kol Sitrin. V'zer Anpin hu hamakom shema'ached makasher l'kol tzadadim. Now let's understand in the Yud K Vav K, which one refers to Zer Anpin. Well, it's the Vav. The Vav is situated in between two Ks. That is the K of Bina and the K of Malchus. Let's go on and see what he says. So he says, "Look, all this is done before the Sitra Da, the Sitra Da, Letzad Ma'ala, Ma'ached Makasher Esabina." So it joins together, ties itself together with Bina, who is his imo, together with him. Letzad Mata, and also on the bottom side, that's on the top. That's on top of the Vav. In other words, that's the Hey up above him. So he said, "V'letzad mata mekasher esa malchus imo." That's what malchus ties to him. So the reason why is beyond to make to sustain a relationship, to fulfill the relationship, his kasher, to tie it up, imahem, the tie that is their anpin is actually like a binder. It's a kasher shelo yaser v'lo yisbata l'oilin, that tie, which is really the train of the flow for the Ein Sof Baruch Hu coming through Abba Ve'ima, then coming into Zer Anpin, and then finally into the Nook, and then from the Nook it gets transferred down to the lower worlds. Kamadat Omer, like you say, like this. So he says, Ad tiyuvda de kulebe, because Ad, that is Zer Anpin, the desire for everything is on him. So that's the reason why we're saying here is a little shtickle of the idea of a goal. The goal is to reach Zer Anpin. The Zer Anpin, Taivus Vachukas Bina, so this is all that Bina wants, is to be able to give to Zer Anpin. Well, Malchus, the same thing as Malchus. All Malchus wants is to be able to receive from Zer Anpin. Haim Bo, but they are both inside of him. Kamada Atama, you say like this, Ad Taivus and Gevos Olam, until Ad, so he says once again, Ad Zer Anpin. He says the Taivus of the hills of the world are around him. And Befarish, that is, the desires of the world. And Befarish man inun guvos olam. So what would we say, the hills of the world? What does he mean? Mihema partzufam and ekroyim guvos olam. So who are they? Va'amer ilun inun trin imahon. We're talking here about our true mothers, which are there. Elohim shtei imachos. Now, when he says mothers, how many mothers are there? Ki bina he aim L'zun d'Atzilus, because Ima gives to Zun of Atzilus, that Zohar v'Nog Zer Anpin in his Nukva of Atzilus. O Malchus he aim l'olamos bia, and Malchus is also a mother. She's also a giver to the lower worlds, the worlds of Bri, Yitzir, and Asiya. V'lechein, so therefore, Nikras Gevos, therefore you have a plural world, which is the hills. Mifnei shehem Gevohos geva al masha lamata, because they're higher up, and they are like a mound or a hill that's overlooking all of that which is beyond them. So nukve, so he says now the word is nukve. So he said v'heim partzufi hanekevos. So these two partzufim, the partzufim of Bina, the partzufim of Malchus, they represent the females. Ki bini hi nukva the abach of Malchus hi nukva the Zer Anpin. Now he switches it around a little bit. So in the first place we say that Bina and Malchus are givers. They give to what's below them. But now we come over here with ki. Let's read these words. Ki Bina hu he nukva the Abba. She is his female counterpart. Malchus he nukva the Zer Anpin, meaning that in this sense they're receivers. Excuse me. So he's of a Yovel, and he says let's put names on them. One is called Yovel, and the other one is called Shemitah. Bina Nikras Yovel, or Malchus Nikras Shemitah. And Malchus is called Shemitah. Now, we've had a little bit of this treatment before, so we'll keep going. The Ikrun Gvol Solam, they're called the hills of the world. Now, maybe Raya Shacha Nikras Olam, so why that? Kamadat Arma, like you say, from one world, Ad is in the middle, Ha'olam to the other world. So Ad is Zer Anpin. There should be Rusho Minabina Ad Malchus, that he's in between those two. As far as Yoser, so it goes on and explains a little bit more. This phrase, which says Tiyuvta the Lachon B'hai Ad, that the desires for them, that's Malchus and Bina, he said, is for this Ad, for this Zer Anpin. So Ad, V'ataivos v'tushukul shal Bina Malchus he bezer Anpin and Nikra Ad. The Ichu Kiyum of the call Citrin, because it is Zer Anpin that establishes all the different citrin. Now, citrin means sides, and when you talk about Zer Anpin, you right away come to the concept of the Vok, which is the 6 spheros of Zer Anpin. Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. Then he said Tiyuvda, and then he brings this idea in. Let's see, Tiyuvda the Gabe the Ad La'atra, the Atrale. Taiva shall Yovel. So what is it that Yovel wants? Yovel, he said, is Bina. Shuhu habina shel Zer Anpin. He said la'ater o, so she wants to crown him. Ba'oros hamakifim, with great lights that are so great that they shine onto Zer Anpin, and they're too great to go into Zer Anpin. V'lenagda raba'alei berkon. V'loham shekalav, from these lights that are shining brachos, in order to shine in brachos tahainu mochin dehub. That is the mochin. What are the brachos? The brachos are the mochin that come from Chachma Bina. V'lo arka alei mavuin stimim, and to pour out on him, v'lo horek Allah v'maynu besukim, to pour out on him to well water, the sweetened well waters, the hainu mochin dehug the das. And what are the sweetened well waters? These are that chug, that is chassid, chasadim, and gevurah that are found in das. Das has 5 chasadim and 5 gevurahs within it, and these are the energies that grow Zer Anpin and his nukva. So Mebuim Haim Chasadim. So he says, now let me give you these words. The word that Mebuim, which means a stream, he says that refers to, let me see if I might have lost Mebuim Haim Chasadim. Matikim, these are Chasadim. They are sweet, Haim. Gevurah Shem Nimtuchu Chasadim. And then the concept is that they sweeten the Gevurahs, which are by the Chasadim. This is the meaning of this idea. So that they sing and dance, the daughters of Zion. B'melech Shlomo ba'atara she'itra lo imo. And while they were dancing with him, he was crowned with the crown that his mother gave him. So Melech Shlomo, who is Melech Shlomo in Sod? So he says Melech Shlomo is Zer Anpin. The imo, which is Bina, Miss Atera says she crowns him with these mochin that she brings into him. And then he says, Tehuva de Shmita is Barcho Mineh. V'chashuvas HaMalchus. What is really the important thing about Malchus? His Barach Mechesed de Zer Anpin is to get a blessing that comes from the Chesed that's in Zer Anpin, because Zer Anpin has 3 lines. And when Zer Anpin is being fed by Bina, then Zer Anpin is pouring out Chesed into Malchus. And also to be illuminated for him. And so they'll also, I've said that wrong. That Malchus actually is built out of the Gevuros in Zer Anpin, and that's what she wants. She wants to be able to come to him, but she needs them sweetened. So this, for sure, is what we understand. This word ad, Gematria 74, Taivas Gvos Olam Ihu. It really refers to the desires of the hills which are Malchus and Bina. Harevade Zer Anpin Hanikra Ad. The Chukah Shel Bina, the real desire of Bina or Malchus, both of them together, is for him. Hanikras Gvos Olam Hialov. So he is to them, they are the hills, and they are to him as his boundaries up above and down below, both with a tremendous cheshik for him. This is Baruch Fleischman here. I am at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and this is the shir for the second day of the week of Vaeirah.